All right. So welcome everyone to another episode of Deep Condition Convos, where we talk about Black hair care and the experience of being a Black and or BIPOC woman. And I have up here with me today, Miss Deme Baldwin, also known as Coach D. And so, hi, hey girl,
Hi,
hey.
everybody. Hey, girl.
Yes. So everybody, I want to tell you about Coach D or Demi. As am I saying your name correctly?
Well, people call me D too, but it's Coach Demi B. You're
Demi
right.
B. Okay,
Correct.
because it's important we get our names right. I have
It's
a
okay.
I have a couple of syllables in my name, and I sometimes they can be different variations. So it's really important to me that I make sure I have your name correctly.
Okay.
So Demi, you guys, she is a licensed cosmetologist. She's also a certified life coach. She is the founder of IVL, which is In Love Vibrations, where she is passionate about helping people and she wants to teach them about self-love and how to be the best version of themselves. Um, you have 30 years of experience in the beauty and fashion industry.
Yes.
You've worked with and or at top salons and stylists. I recall one of them being Fantasia's personal hairstylist. Now, how do you pronounce his name?
His name is Dorikas.
Dorikas. Yes. Okay. I want to make sure I said that right too. So she
Yes.
has worked with and or at those places. So Dorikas again is her personal hairstylist, but he also has a salon in the Charlotte area, which is Hair by Him. You've also worked alongside Allison Stewart, who is the owner of Hair Extensions. And
Correct.
so you specialize in natural hair care as well.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, in addition to all of those accolades, you also are a mother of two. And
Correct.
so Coach Demi or Coach B, if I'm sorry if I butchered that, but
That's
she is
okay.
she is up here today. She's here joining me because we want to talk about mothers, we want to talk about hair and healing. So without further ado, Coach D or Coach Demi B, everybody.
It's okay. Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for
Yes,
inviting me to your podcast. I'm so super excited. And I'm
yes,
just
same.
excited to, connect with like-minded individuals like
Mm-hmm.
yourself that is doing great work in a community that is
Mm-hmm.
out here and expressing themselves and showing
Yes.
themselves and just, especially in our community as Black people. So I'm so grateful for that. Thank you.
No, thank you for saying that. I do think I do endorse self-expression. I do endorse individuality. And, this is a platform for that. This platform is about talking about things that are important to us. And one thing that I know that was a value for me growing up is my hair and how I presented it, how I cared for it. And just through my experience, right, there are times where I felt really good with my hair. And so that showed in how I carried myself and how I spoke. And there are times where I had felt indifferent or maybe I felt a little, not pleased with my hair. And that also showed. And so, this is a space where we could talk about like, well, hey, how do we take care of our hair? However we choose to wear it, natural
Mhm,
extensions, straight and
mhm,
whatever. And how do we
mhm.
maintain our actual hair and our roots while we do that? Because it's a privilege that we can have all of these various styles. It's a privilege that we can do that. But with privilege comes responsibility. And I want us to be
Mhm.
responsible with this privilege and take care of all of our hair, no matter how we choose to present ourselves at any given day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So Mother's Day is around the corner. And, first, shout out to all the moms because it is I'm going to say a ministry. I believe
Mm.
that motherhood comes it's a gift. It has its pros and it has its
Mm.
enlightening. That's the word we're going to use. And so just shout
Yes.
out to all the moms that are listening today because, I just wanted to dedicate an episode to you all. And I want us to talk about like, when you're a mother, there are so many roles that you have, so many hats that you wear. And one of those is how are you going to dress that child? And I know that that's not solely on the mother, But it's definitely one of those unspoken expectations, and I know exactly how that sounds. But more importantly, when I think about mothers, I think about who birthed me, but I also think about that mother or motherhood, or it's on a spectrum. So it's your mom, it's your aunt, it's the people in the neighborhood that care and nurture for you, it's the mothers at the church, but it's really that person, that figure that was a part of your core memories and that provided you with nurture and care. And so a question that I want to ask you is, when you think about, being a mom, or when you think about your relationship with your mom, what are some of the traditions, or what are some of the tips that you can recall about your hair that you still carry today?
Well, let's see here. So growing up, I was the only
Mm-hmm.
child with my mom for 13
Mm-hmm.
years. And
Yeah.
then I had my brother, my first brother came in. And so I
Yeah.
was the only girl. So my mom was basically just doing my hair. I used to have, like the ponytails and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. But some of the
Yes.
things that my mom used to do as a child with my hair that I still do still apply to this day is
Mm-hmm.
basically just keeping my hair conditioned and moisturized
Yeah.
because we have all different types of textures of hair and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So with
Mm-hmm.
my hair, I have like a C type of texture hair. So
Yeah.
I didn't really have like a really bad texture of hair. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, my mom always kept my hair very conditioned and
Mm-hmm.
oily and things like that. And so that's just
Mm-hmm.
something that I've taken on now in my elderly years or whatever, is to keep my hair moisturized and things like that. So I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember that being a staple in my house, is, making sure that your hair was washed, making sure that,
Yes.
that your hair looked presentable, because growing up, I always heard that if a child's hair didn't look good, they're not going to look at the child, they're going to look at the mother. And I'm thinking of Beyonce, right? So when Beyonce first had Blue, so many people had so much to say about her and that child's hair, but it's like, what, the baby's hair look healthy, but
Right.
people are going to chime in because people
Right.
are going to do what people do. I also remember the importance of having a scarf, right? So tying that hair
Yes.
down at night. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, my mother did not play about that. If I went to bed without that scarf, she would be like, Shakeda, like, when I was like, Mom, I forgot, because I'm a kid. But it was those things that I still carry now as an adult. So,
Mhm.
well, one, I'm gonna say that I leveled up and I got a satin pillowcase. So thanks, Mom.
Okay.
I got a satin pillowcase. So if I don't have a scarf on, a pillowcase got me. But something that is instilled in me is like to protect my hair, and understanding that there are certain things I have to do to protect my hair. I have an aunt who, and I'm laughing and smiling while I say this, but I have an aunt who would tell me, it does not matter how nice your clothes are. If your hair
Mhm.
is not done, it does not, it just defeats it. It is void. There was no purpose in getting dressed up, because the hair is, it's that crown and glory. And if it ain't right,
Okay.
go
Mhm.
ahead and just, you could have just been, I guess maybe had a little bit less effort that day, because that hair didn't be right.
Right. Right. That's so
Mhm.
true because I know me, now earlier now in my, like I said, my older ages now,
Mhm.
I'm very big at like, making sure my hair is done. I mean, I've always
Mhm.
been able to keep my hair and
Mhm.
stuff done like that, but at the end of the day, it just don't feel right. If you don't have I can have the baddest outfit on, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm big and I'm into fashion as well. So like if I
That's
don't
right.
have like, and I'm big into accessories. I have a fashion accessory business. So it's like
Mm.
even if I don't have, I can have like the cutest accessories, but
Yeah.
if my hair is not done, it just
Yes.
don't go right. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So you're right about
I
that.
still carry it. And I have to work through that, because I have to understand that, people have different values around it. But when I see that, I had to catch myself and be like, don't go there. Like maybe that wasn't their upbringing. it also taught me how to wear a head wrap, because if I couldn't get my hair like I wanted to, I learned that if you know how to like tie and twist and tuck and pull, that your
Right.
head wrap serves as your hair that day. And like the accessories you're talking about, right? Then you add those accessories on and you're good to go. But we don't step outside the house without that hair. Correct.
Facts.
Yes. Yes. So I know you have 30 years of experience working in the beauty and fashion industry. So can you tell me about the process from licensed cosmetologist to life coach?
Well, with me being in the industry for so long,
Mm-hmm.
I've cultivated, and it's just a passion of mine. I've been doing it, like I said, I've been doing hair since, I was 13 years old. I've been doing hair since I was 13. So, I grew up in
Wow.
church, and I used
Yeah.
to do all of my mom's friends' hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and I did all of my college friends' hair
Mm.
and things like that. And so along the way, while I was doing hair, um, I built relationships with people when they came into, when I started
Yeah.
having my salons and
Mm-hmm.
working at different salons and stuff like that. And I noticed that when people would come into my chair, not only did I help them with their looks and their beauty and things like that, but also I would always like minister to them or talk to
Mm-hmm.
them, encourage
Mm-hmm.
them to love themselves, or just really embrace who they really was without the hair, but the hair
Yeah.
just makes it
Yeah.
tops it off basically. So um
It does.
after I got out the industry or whatever, I'm still kind of in it, but not fully like that no more. I still do it from
Mm-hmm.
time to time because it's just a gift of mine that I've had
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, pretty much all my life. But
And we got to keep
I
our
just
gifts. So
right.
you got to
So
keep using it. Yeah.
right. So as I started getting in on my spiritual journey, I started to discover that I knew that my calling was greater. And so I decided, okay, how can I get into really using my gifts to expand my knowledge and my understanding of things to help people
Mm-hmm.
understand how important it is to love themselves. Self-love is so important. I'm really big on
Mm-hmm.
self-love. So um,
Mm-hmm.
I went and decided to get certified as a life coach. And so I basically kind of like do the same thing, but it's just I do it in a more expanded way now to help people in a more expanded way. I teach self-love, like I said, self-care. I also have a self-care journal that I created. So I
Nice.
basically just took that, what I my all my gifts that I already had, and just expanded it, and just learning to like really help people. And I've had spiritual healing retreats, women's
Mm-hmm.
empowerment events, and so I just expanded it, just used the gifts that I already had and expanded it in a more larger capacity. And I love it. I really love it.
No, that is wonderful. It makes sense, in my head when I saw that, when I was reading like your different roles and the different hats
Hmm.
that you wear, I said, you know what, that kind of makes sense, because when you go to get your hair done, if you're a regular, right?
Hmm.
Or yeah, if you're a regular, it's the hair is transactional,
Hmm.
but it's more than just hair, because
Absolutely.
there's a relationship there, and
Hmm.
there's rapport there, there's trust there. And so
Hmm.
then you start having these discussions, and you know how it goes. It starts out like, because it's like it might be your
Hmm.
first time, but if
Hmm.
you keep going, it does develop into something more. And again, while the hair is the transaction, you
Hmm.
don't leave with just your hair done. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, like sometime when my clients would come in my chair, how people would come, when you get your hair done, you go
Mm-hmm.
to a salon and they'll bring a picture. Okay, I want my hair like this. Like they bring a picture of like they want the hair like Beyonce, right? We're gonna use
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce as an example. I always be very, very honest with my clients and tell them like, okay, we can get this look for you, but at the end of the day, you gotta, cause you have to be. I was very upfront and honest to my clients
Good.
because I don't
Yeah.
want them to think that they're gonna be leaving out there looking like
Yeah.
Beyonce. But I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
encourage my clients to, okay, we can get this look for you. We're gonna get the
Mm-hmm.
closest to it as we can. But I want
Mm-hmm.
them to I used to always tell my clients, like, understand that, this look is just only something that's gonna look similar to that, but I want them to be able to embrace who they are and
Mm-hmm.
take this look
Yeah.
and make it look better than Beyonce. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm very encouraging, very uplifting, very inspire people just to be who they are, because authenticity to me is so important. You being authentic, just being who you are, and just, we got the styles that we like and everything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna be that person. So, it might give
Mm-hmm.
you that energy though. You get on
Mm-hmm.
that hair like Beyonce, okay? You might start
Yeah.
getting that energy like Beyonce.
Well, you know how it is when you leave the salon chair and you don't,
Yeah.
because when you leave the salon chair, you got to touch it up yourself. You know how that goes. Like you
Right,
got to finesse
right,
it. And it
right.
could be beautiful, but when you leave and it's like minimal touch, and yeah, honey, I'm not going home. I'm not going home.
Facts,
Not right
facts,
away anyway, because somebody gonna
facts.
see me.
Okay. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanna lift you up with what you just said there, where you're like, when a client comes and brings you a picture of someone like Beyonce or maybe a celebrity and a hairstyle, I really appreciate you being authentic, you being genuine with them, and not saying that they can't get this hairstyle, but
Mhm.
tying back into the idea or the value of self love, where it's like, I want you to
Mhm.
love this, but I want you to love it on yourself. I want you to love how it looks on
Absolutely.
you and not compare it to how it may look on the picture that you presented it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Embrace who you are,
Mm-hmm.
just be your authentic self. And this is why I've moved into this calling of life coaching because, people, especially with social media and things now, people get on social media and they want to be like somebody else, and I really,
Mm-hmm.
really um talk about that a lot, about being your
Mm-hmm.
authentic self and things like that, whether you
Mm-hmm.
have a certain hairstyle or whatever the case may be, because if you as you can see on social media now, we know that we're in different ages and different cycles and things like that when it comes to like different hairs. Like everybody's wearing the lace front wigs now, but I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
find what fits you, okay? Don't
Exactly.
do it because somebody else is
Exactly.
doing it. Do
Mm-hmm.
exactly what fits you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I encourage all the mothers out there,
Mm-hmm.
to embrace your authentic self, love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and find what fits you, because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just because it fits you, it doesn't mean that it's for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so important
Mm-hmm.
to understand that.
Mm-hmm. And you said something right there when you were saying to fellow mothers, right? Like find what
Mhm.
fits you. And I think that's so important because that can transcend to your child. Whether
Mhm.
you mean it to be intentional or not, right? The way that you feel about
Mhm.
yourself, especially when you're a parent or there's
Mhm.
a child watching, that is picked up because children absorb, children are
Mhm.
observant. And so knowing who you are and feeling good about yourself and your look is going to also transcend to your child or the children that may be in your circle.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm. So again, I know that you're a mom. So can you
Mhm.
tell me, like, what was your experience like with your children and trying to, well, one, like figure out how you want to do their hair because you have boys.
Mhm.
And, people would be like, oh, boy, you're just thinking like a haircut. But it's like, no, like sometimes boys, you may want it to grow out. They may want it long. They may want lots. They may want wigs. You know what I mean? What was that experience like for you as a mother with your child's hair, children and their hair?
Well, my 18-year-old, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much his father, pretty much, I didn't really have to worry about my son has a pretty good grade of hair or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, his father pretty much took care, and it's still to this day, when he does go visit his father, and he does that on a very scheduled routine or whatever. So his father takes him to get his hair cut. So I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's nothing. But over the last year, my son decided he wanted to grow locks. And so
Mhm.
me being a cosmetologist,
Mhm.
I started his locks for him, and I've been doing his locks, and so he loves it. So, but my youngest, he still gets
Mhm.
haircuts, but if he decides he wants to um, grow locks or whatever the case may be, I will encourage it. Whatever they choose to do, I'm gonna encourage it. I'm into that. So whatever they choose to do, I'm down for that. But as far as like cut, I can shape up hair, but as far as
Yeah.
like cutting hair, that is not my
Yeah.
stilo.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's okay, right? It's like, your strengths. But what you
Mm-hmm.
did say is whatever your child, whatever your children want to do, is that you're behind it. And I think that's such a important piece to parenthood, but also
Absolutely.
motherhood, right? Is that, they say sticks and stones, you know how the old adage go, but words do have impact on us. And
Absolutely.
if you go to your mother, or if you could think about any of your memories when you went to your mother and maybe your mom didn't respond the way that you needed, or
Mhm.
it just was, it wasn't helpful, or it left you feeling a certain way or not supported, that can have
Mhm.
impact on you. And when you say,
Absolutely.
especially when you think about black hair in the
Mhm.
workforce,
Mhm.
especially when you think about, especially in our culture, how,
Mhm.
it can be a defining trait, right? Is our hair. It's
Mhm.
important to get that support from your mother for the sake of this conversation.
Mhm.
Because, again, life and death live within your tongue. And so
Mhm.
imagine if one of your boys came to you and you had a difference of opinion, and how that could
Mhm.
impact them moving forward, or how they go
Absolutely.
throughout life in this lens because of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Another
that's
thing that I'm
awesome.
grateful for too is
Mhm,
like, even though my mom pretty much she raised me, I was with my dad as well. But my
mhm,
dad went on and to get married, and his wife, and this is how I
mhm,
kind of like after um turning 13 or whatever, I got in high
mhm.
school or whatever, my dad got married, and he married a cosmetologist. And so
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
and so my
Yeah.
stepmom is a cosmetologist, and she
Mhm.
kind of like guiding me as well on how to get into the industry or whatever. And so after school, high school, I would go to her shop because her shop was right across the street from my high school.
Yeah.
And I would just walk right over there, and I started off washing hair and things like
Mhm,
that. And then,
mhm.
you know, it just expanded from there. And so I'm grateful for her as well. So
Wow, that's full circle.
mhm,
Wow, that's
mhm.
nice. That's really nice.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, okay, now that you tell me that, that makes me want to go. Okay,
Mhm.
because see, if I have a live-in cosmetologist, for me, if it were me and my adolescent self, or as a child, that means you trying different hairstyles because you have a talent. Do you remember any hairstyles that you would go to your mom or your stepmom about and be like, okay, I want to try this, and just how did that go?
Yes, honey. When
Uh-huh.
I tell you, like, being, like I said, having my stepmom being a cosmetologist, my mom was really big
Mm-hmm.
into hair and stuff like that too, but she wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a cosmetologist. My
Mm-hmm.
mom was really big into fashion, things like that. My mom is actually a minister, and so I was
Yeah.
really that's kind of like where I kind of take my speaking and things like that
Mhm.
from, on that side of my ancestral line. But
Yeah.
my stepmom used to try all different types of styles. Now I am a woman of a certain age, so it's like, okay, back
Mhm.
then, I mean, we had the scrunchies with the
Yeah.
we used to have the color where you spray it on your hair, and
Mhm, mhm.
also like the ponytails, which you would put in the microwave and put
Oh,
them
I
on top
remember
of your
that.
hair. So I tried.
Yes.
She used to have my hair hooked, honey. When I used to have them go to school, honey, I used to
Okay.
hate having to stay in there late at night, though.
Yeah, okay.
Um, but yeah, we tried all different types of
Mhm,
styles. So I was
mhm.
grateful for that. So I was grateful to be able to be in style and be able to, have the different styles and stuff like that. So that was an absolutely great opportunity to have her for that.
It is, and it's important. Like, it's really interesting how, like, your surroundings influence that. So your stepmom was a cosmetologist. Your mom was into fashion as well as a minister. I know that
Mhm.
you attended Livingstone. So an
Absolutely.
HBCU. I went to A&T, so Aggie Pride, everybody.
Ooh,
But
okay.
HBCU, yes. So
Yes.
that has an impact too, right? Like seeing the different
Mhm.
styles and just a different way to wear it, right? And all of that truly does start from the foundation where it's like, how is hair valued in your household? How did your mom, what did hair day look like? I know for me,
Mhm.
it was very much like, okay, we got this shampoo. If I wasn't going to the salon, or if it was, if it was off of the pay schedule, because my mom basically, she did it based on her pay. And she didn't know I know, because back then kids weren't supposed to know that stuff. But I knew it. I
Okay.
picked up on it. I picked
Yeah.
up on it. But on the off weeks, she would wash my hair, and, she would detangle it, and we would come up with a style. Sometimes we would do braids. Or I remember
Mhm.
going to my aunt that did really well with cornrows, and she had,
Mhm.
was heavy handed. And so I remember, like, telling her I was telling her I was tender headed.
Tender-headed. Mhm.
Yeah, I remember sitting at the stove with the hot comb, right? And that's with my grandmother that would straighten my hair. And so much comes from your value, how you value your hair, coming from these mothers and mother figures in our life.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, wow. You just brought a memory back when you
Mhm,
said the hot
mhm,
comb. I forgot all
mhm.
about that. I remember, my mom used to take me to this lady that used to do that to my hair, and I
Yeah.
hated it because I have, like, even, like, my hair is like like a certain, like, curly kinda a little bit,
Hmm.
but it used to be really thick when I was little, and so, oh my
Yeah.
god, when she would
Yeah.
straighten it out on Easter or whatever the case may be, for Easter Sunday or whatever, just whenever we would do things like have certain things, events at church, but oh my god. Whoo, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was whew,
Yeah.
don't forget those days.
I do not forget them. And while, it's endearing, because it reminds me of my grandmother, I don't know if I want to go back either. Now that I am more into my natural texture,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. But thank you, thank you for that. I know one of the quotes that I know a lot of Black women would get is, it's just steam, or sit still, you know what I mean? Or just the sizzle that you would hear when they were like,
Mhm.
so I remember sitting there and I would jump, and my grandmother would say, like, oh, it's just the steam. And I said, I don't feel like steam. If it's steam, then why tap me, We would have a little back and forth.
That heat.
Right.
Woo, that's
Ain't
a
no
little
way
heat
this
right
steam is
there.
tapping
Right.
my neck, grandma. But she would say it was steam.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know
And it's
what?
fun.
Oh, go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, I was saying it's funny because if you sit back and you look now with the
Mm-hmm.
hot comb and stuff like that, even today, you see the women using the hot combs to straighten out their wigs. I don't know if you've
That's
seen that.
right.
They
Yeah,
use
you're
the
right.
straightening comb to straighten out their wigs now, like especially if they wear a part in the middle and they use the straightening
Mm-hmm.
combs or whatever. But that's something
Mm-hmm.
that's still being used today. Um,
Yeah,
well, I haven't just started to seeing it over the last couple years or so. Them starting to use those hot combs or whatever.
you're
So it's
right.
like, but I think they use like the electrical ones or whatever, but
Yeah.
not the ones that go on the
Mm-hmm.
stove.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I
so.
blame it on trauma. I don't trust the electrical either. I'm like, it's still hot, it's still a cone. And thank you, but no, thank you.
Okay.
But again, to each his own. But I have seen that where,
Mhm.
like you said, if they have a part in the middle, or I believe also for the lace, if you have a lace front, like they may use that. I don't know if that helps
Yeah.
get it to lay it down more.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no shade on lace wigs. I think it's wonderful how wigs have just transformed over time.
Mhm.
I realized that I'm not a wig woman. Like I'll try it, and as soon as I put it on, I want to take it off. It is
Yeah.
not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I have one that I've had a couple or whatever, but I'm more like I've been natural since like 2000, let's say 2000, say 2014,
Mm-hmm.
no, before then, probably about
Mm-hmm.
2010 maybe or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I think it was when
Mm-hmm.
I first started going natural, but I like a lot of like during the fall, I'll wear my hair
Yeah.
like my own natural hair. My hair is pretty long. But
Yeah.
I like wearing protective styles. So like
Yeah. Me
crochets or
too.
braids. That's where you normally
Mm-hmm.
see my hair. But during like the
Mm-hmm.
fall, I'll get a blowout and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes because I want to just kind of or ponytails or something like that. But
Yeah.
I'm not like a big wig person like that either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. I will try to switch it up in the fall. I enjoy protective styles. Now, opposite of you is where you may have longer hair. I have short, short to medium coily hair. So I'm very much 4C.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like, you got to use a lot of conditioner. I think everybody has to use a lot of conditioner. So let me not even try to like bring any separation in that. But I just
Mm-hmm.
know that my hair requires a different regimen than what may always be presented. So, but I'm fine
Mm-hmm.
with it. But I
Mm-hmm.
say that to say, I enjoy protective styles too. And I actually enjoy when it comes back to self-love, right? Or just like how we feel about our hair is, I may see a style on a woman or
Mm-hmm.
that looks really good. And we may have different hair textures, or she may have more hair than I do, but I don't let it discourage me. I'm just kind of like, well, let me see how I can finesse that to fit my hair and my length. Or if I need to add something extra, I'll do that too. But the idea
Absolutely.
is loving it regardless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought about locking my hair like a year
Mm-hmm.
ago, but I said if I do lock my hair, I'm probably gonna get like the sister locks. That way I can kind of
Yeah.
style it the way I want to.
Yeah.
But I just love natural hair. I just
Mm-hmm.
love
Mm-hmm.
especially being a black woman, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like I really love natural. For years I had a relaxer before I went
Same.
natural. But
Same.
it's
Yeah.
like since I've been my hair has been so much healthier ever
Mm-hmm.
since that I've been
Mm-hmm.
natural, and I love it. And I love to see women wear their froze, black women wear their
Yeah.
froze. It just,
Mm-hmm.
it's an absolutely sight to see, and I just love that on black women.
Yeah, it's kind of like unspoken validation in a sense, right? Where it's
Mhm.
just like, okay, like, like we see each other. And I enjoy my natural hair, but I really enjoy the versatility that I have with it. Like I love that I can straighten
Mhm.
my hair if I want to, or if I want to wear it curly, if I want to put a wig on, if I want to put extensions. Like I love that my hair
Mhm.
was created to do all these things. And it
Absolutely.
just it really does feel good. And again, going back to where it is that self-love and just loving myself and my hair for what it is
Mm.
and what it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How long have you been natural?
I've been natural since '09, and yeah, so it's about the same time. I always tell people
Mhm.
it just kind of happened. So I was
Mhm.
graduating from A&T, the best school in the world. But anyways, I digress. I was,
That band though.
yes, I love, yes, Blue and Gold Marching Machine. They are still great. I mean, but let me stay focused because I'll go there. But so I was graduating from A&T and I got a sew-in because at the time, that's just what I wanted. I just wanted to sew in. I wanted some flowy hair. I was gonna have my cap on. So I thought a
Mhm.
sew-in would be a good choice. And it was. It was wonderful. I still have the pictures and I do not regret that hairstyle. But I took it
Mhm.
out and I went back to my beautician at the time and I was like, you know what? I don't want to put a relaxer in. I was like, I don't think I need a relaxer.
Mhm.
And long story short, just over time, I just was kind of like, let me just see how it goes. Like just little by little. I was like, well, let me see how it goes if I go without relaxing for this long. But let me see
Mhm.
how it goes if I just start to cut these ends off. But let me see how it looks with a
Mm.
twist out. And gradually I just fell in love with my natural texture and just I never looked back at relaxers. And I will say one of the perks of it is like not having to do this right here, that pat when it's time for a relaxer
Yeah.
because you can't scratch your scalp. I do not miss that. I do not
Mhm.
miss doing that as a child or an adult. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm,
I hated that with I used to wear a lot of
mhm,
sew-ins. So I wear sew-ins still sometimes too.
mhm.
But yeah, that patterning with those quick weaves, that's the
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Now I'll just
Oh
go in there.
yes.
If I got to, I'll just go in there and get the scratching.
Yeah,
But
just tear it on up.
is your mother natural as well?
My mother is natural, but she kind of the same process where it was just, she just kind of gradually stepped away from the relaxer. But I think we both laughed because I remember as a kid when my mom would say, like, don't scratch your head now. You go into the salon day, you're getting a perm. Like, and I would be like, okay, because you're young, you're not thinking about it. You just something. And so I remember like, oh yeah, my mom said not to scratch my scalp today. Or if I did, I remember her telling me to tell my stylist, like, make sure you tell her where you scratch that, so like they would do that part last. But just the idea of having to navigate your hair around a chemical, right? And I'm just so glad that is no longer, something that I have to do.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Wow.
So
a question I have for you was, so when we're thinking about self-love, because I know that this is also a skill I don't want to say a skill because it's more natural, but I know this is something you're passionate about. Can you think of times where you've had clients who maybe came in and they didn't feel good about their hair? And or are there times where, just throughout the process of having like a regular client that you saw them maybe start where they felt insecure about their hair, but because of that rapport, right? Because again, I know we're doing hair, but there's also more than just getting your hair done, like that you saw them grow in self-love and you saw them build confidence towards their hair and their self.
Yes, I've had a lot of clients do that. As far as like embracing who they are, the self-love, self-care. As far as getting a hair done, it is a form of self-love, but I look at it more like kind of like self-care. But at the end of the day, I've had several clients um, that sometimes they didn't feel as good, but I always still encourage them as well. I said, well, let's try something different the next time, let's try this style. I always just try to uplift them to, because even though I may see, because a lot of times with me, being on this spiritual journey and stuff like that, I've developed a lot of my spiritual gifts. And so I can see things sometimes that a lot of people can't see. And so a lot of times I've noticed that with my some of my spiritual gifts and things like that, I tend to see the beauty in people sometimes when they don't even see it in themselves. And so that's why I just try to be the best that I can be and be a better version of myself and just be authentic, because at the end of the day, it's not easy when you probably done been in a household where you've had people talk down on you, or you've been in domestic relationships, and it just lowers your self-esteem and things like that. So I just try to encourage my clients to just love themselves, the best way that you can, because you're here for a purpose. So yeah, I've had a lot of clients that I've had to coach through and things like that.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I love that you are encouraging them to try new hairstyles because, like you said, if you are having a low sense of self, then that can impact how you see yourself, physically, how you see yourself with your hair. And, you're going to stick to what you feel comfortable with. And so one step in growth, right, or a step in self-love is stepping out of your comfort zone and encouraging that. I think that's wonderful. I want to read a quote to you from an article I read. So the name of the article, it's from New York Times, and it's called, or it's titled, excuse me, Why Do Moms Obsess Over Their Child's Hair? And following that title, there was a caveat, and it said, well-tended hair can symbolize a present and engaged parent. And I just wanted to know, what are your thoughts on that?
Could you say that again?
Well-tended hair can symbolize a present and engaged parent.
Wow. Well, engaged hair. Well, what I would say about that quote would be that if you have well-engaged hair, you could just tell by I'm just trying to find the right word to say to do with me.
Take your time. I'm gonna read it again while you get your thoughts.
Okay,
Well-tended hair can symbolize a present and engaged parent. And what are your thoughts on that? And take your time.
Yeah, I would say that, I think we talked about this earlier, how,
Mm-hmm.
how important it was as our parents to make sure that when we go out the house or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and to keep our hair and stuff done and stuff like that. So I feel like, if, our parents was to keep our hair done or whatever, and they're engaging with us, they're continuing
Mm-hmm.
to keep us and encourage us to be, you know, keep our hair done and keep us encouraged to love ourselves and things like that and keep us looking good and stuff like that. So you can tell, like you said earlier, by a person's presence and how, they keep their hair and stuff like that, how engaged the parent is. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally
Mm-hmm.
resonate with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I honestly had never thought about it like that until I read it. I read the article. I mean, she made a lot of good points where, and she didn't say that it meant that you were a perfect parent. She didn't say
Hmm.
that it meant that the hair was always right. It said that you
Hmm.
were engaged and you were present throughout your child's life, which makes all the difference because I've
Hmm.
definitely had some hair fails with my
Hmm.
mom and I growing up, and I remember there are times where I literally cried because of my hair.
Hmm.
But my mom was there to encourage me, or my
Hmm.
mom was there to kind of be like, look, we're gonna just go back to the drawing board. I remember sometimes if I didn't want to go to school, that she would honor that. And education is big in my home. It continues to be even as an adult. And the fact
Wow.
that my mom could empathize with me and be like, okay, I'm gonna let you
Hmm.
take this day off because that was again engaged and present parent.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so true. I kind of do the same thing too, like with
Mhm.
my children. Like I homeschool my youngest one.
Oh,
I've been
wow.
yeah, I've been homeschooling him since COVID or whatever.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, my oldest, like when they want to stay home, I'm very hands-on when it comes to my kids and making
Mhm.
sure that I hear them out when it comes to things and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's so important, as me as a mother and as
Mhm.
mothers out there in the world, that we definitely encourage our kids to be the best that they can, whether it has to do with their hair, keeping their hair up, keeping their self-esteem, just all of that. It's so
Yeah,
important because it has an impact when you get older. It really does.
it does. It does. A fun question I have that just came to me because I know we're talking about being warm and encouraging and nurturing with
Mhm,
ourselves, but also with children, like as a mother.
mhm, mhm.
Um, what about if your child comes to you with a style that it's like, okay, I really, like I really don't like this. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, and how do you navigate that? Because like it's like how can you find that balance? Because I also think, as a parent, as a mother, that yes, you are your child's biggest cheerleader, but you're
Yeah,
also your child's
it's critic.
voice of reason. Critic. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, should I find another word? But yes, critic, voice of reason. And how do you navigate that and find that balance? Because sometimes you do have to be like, hey, I don't know about this. Or like this ain't it.
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
it's funny that you said that because, like I said, now that my son is actually growing out his locks or whatever, the
Mm-hmm.
kids nowadays are just so different from when I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up or whatever. And so the young boys now, he's 18, and so they like to put their hair in like the little pigtails, and I'll be like,
Oh yeah.
I just
Oh
tell them
yeah.
I don't like it. I just tell him I like it, but if that's, now that he's of a certain age to,
Mm-hmm.
kind of or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be like, okay. But if I had a daughter and she came to me and she had all of this crazy color stuff in her hair, I would just tell her how I felt, and just
Yeah.
like, I've been in this game. I've
Yeah.
been doing this, I want you, I don't try to push it on them, but I would encourage them to, like if I had a daughter and she came to me with all this color and all this kind of crazy wild stuff, I would let her know, like, I love you for who you are, but let's get classy with it. Let's get a little
Mm-hmm.
classy. We don't want to
Mm-hmm.
get ghetto fabulous with it, okay? And she can take it or take it to
Mm-hmm.
heart or take it. But during the
Mm-hmm.
process, it's a learning thing they have to learn. So,
Yeah.
but if I'm
Yeah.
paying for it, if you going, or I'm
There's
doing your
that.
hair, there's certain
Yeah.
things you're not gonna do.
There is
But
that.
if you paying for
Yeah.
your own hair, then
Yeah.
as long as it's not just out of control, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, like with my hair, like a lot of people um some people don't really like like I said, I'm really big into accessories like the shells and stuff like that. But why do you
Yeah.
wear those shells in there? But at the end of the day, it's just my choice, it's what I like. So you just
Yeah.
gotta be able to accept that sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit more compassionate and understanding that, we're in a new generation. So they're gonna like things that we don't
Yeah.
like. The music is like, ugh.
It's, it is, yes. I have some nieces and nephews now, and I'll listen to it. Now, some of the songs it's a bop. I'm like, oh, okay, okay. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. And I'll play mine. And we just enjoy it that way. But you
Mhm,
made a really good point, right? That being understanding that okay, like that this is their time, at
mhm,
this age, and
mhm.
that they may try new things, but also being honest, right? Where you're like, hey,
Right.
I'm gonna tell them how I feel. I also
Mhm.
heard you communicating some boundaries where it's like, hey, if I'm paying for it though,
Right.
the
Right.
boundary or the gag is if it's my money, these are the standards,
Rules. Mhm.
yeah, for the hair,
Mhm. Mhm. Now, if they
right?
get out of control with it now, like, like I said, if oh, sorry, I got to put my charger on here, so
Mm-hmm.
bear with me.
You're fine.
um, but if my daughter had some crazy stuff like that was just not, you know, uh, there we go. Okay, got it. There we go. We back.
Yep. Yep.
um, But if she came to me and had like some, back in the days, you remember how TLC and them would wear condoms and stuff on their hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now she came to me with her hair like that, I'll be like, okay, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Yeah.
that. So, or if my son even did that, I'll be like, I don't know about that, partner. Like me, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
very soft, loving, caring
Mm-hmm.
mother,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm very strict. You wouldn't
Yeah.
think it because my personality is like, I have to because some of the things, and I think the reason why I am the way I am when it comes to my children is because of things that I've been through in my life. I had a daughter and she passed away,
Mm.
and
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. She's my guardian angel now, and so I'm very, very strict when it comes to my kids, and
Yeah.
not in a way where it's just like abusive or anything like that. But I'm very, very stern with them because at the end of the day, losing a child is something I wouldn't wish on anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very, very strict when it comes to them, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But at the same time, I'm still compassionate. And my kids, especially my oldest, he understands because my daughter was stillborn. She was born before him,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
he's a little understanding. He understands, but my youngest, he don't quite understand completely yet, but he
Yeah.
will one day. But yeah, so.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's important to have rules and or standards and expectations in the home when it comes to parenting.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
You had mentioned earlier, you're talking about different hair textures where I know you said that your son, um, that his is more, it sounds like he had more fair hair. Maybe it wasn't as coarse and that you said yours is
Mhm,
like C.
mhm,
How do you, how do you navigate that? And just again, going back to your experience as a cosmetologist where people may have different hair textures or people may feel some type of way or they may not like their hair texture. How do you find
mhm.
a way to bring that out of them or to empower them so that they do have an appreciation for their hair and their hair texture?
I would just, I'm very big on the type of products that I would use on my clients' hair. And I'm still like that to this day. Like I'm very big on like professional products and stuff like that. Um, and making sure that, if I did have a client come in and their hair was kind of a little on the coarse side, I would recommend they do certain type of treatments and things like
Mhm,
that to soften
mhm.
it up, to give it a little bit more softer texture and stuff like that. So that's what I would do when it comes to people that had a little bit more coarse hair.
Yeah. And another, I want to follow up, like if, just we can just imagine. So, like, if that was a child, right, or if it was your
Hmm.
child that was having challenges with their hair texture, how would you
Hmm.
approach that as a mother?
I would basically just, reiterate with them, do the same thing, like, do different things or try things, be open to,
Hmm.
trying different styles that they love. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and just make sure that just to be a little bit more compassionate because there's a lot of bullying. Like I said, these kids
Hmm.
nowadays is on a whole different level. So
Hmm. Hmm.
how we grew up, it's different, but it's still similar in some ways because bullying is just bullying. And they do
Hmm.
bully. I've known people and I've had clients that bring their kids to me that have been bullied for their hair and stuff like that. So I just encourage them to, just let's try this, let's try that and see what works, and what
Yeah.
makes you feel good,
Yeah.
and I used to go to like different schools and stuff like that and like kind of like talk to the kids on how important it was for again for them to embrace you know
Yeah.
their hair and themselves and things like that. So it's just the matter of just really um being open to understanding that everybody doesn't look at things the same.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
That's a good point.
and that's a thing that I had to learn like growing up, it's
Yeah.
like, because us growing up, especially as black people or whatever, or African
Hmm.
American, we were, you know, we were programmed to believe that we had to have hair like other races and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But
Hmm.
I was grateful to see that the natural thing came online when it did, and so many people in our culture starting to become natural, because
Yeah.
that just let me know like, okay, to embrace that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I was, that's absolutely this amazing when the natural thing came out. I was like, wow, starting to see the people with the two-strand twist and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
No, I think I agree. It's wonderful to see this movement just take place.
Hmm.
And again, just seeing the variety. What I've appreciated most about it is that it's that there's just this understanding, whether you choose to be natural or you choose to be relaxed, that we understand it's your choice and that you're doing what
Absolutely.
is best for you. Um,
Hmm.
I believe when natural hair started to pick up, or started to become more mainstream, that
Hmm.
there, and I do still think it continues now, where there is this idea of like a preferred curl pattern
Hmm.
or a preferred way it looks. But as it continues to grow, I guess, or continues to build in mainstream, I think now there is this appreciation or understanding that, okay, people have different curls. And again, I'm 4C, and so I think
Hmm.
from my experience, I'm not going to put
Hmm.
that on other people, but from my experience, sometimes it can
Hmm.
feel like 4C is the hair that's not preferred because it is more coarse and it does require more
Hmm.
work. But I think all hair requires a regimen. I think all hair requires effort.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to see slowly the shift in that. And I'm starting to see what people are understanding, like, okay, different hair textures, again, relaxed, natural, however you want to do it. It's
Hmm.
really about what
Hmm.
makes you feel good and
Absolutely.
about how you present yourself. So it's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's so important, you know. Um, and it's going to get even better the
Yeah,
times that we're
I think
moving
so.
into now.
Yeah.
People are gonna really start to embrace. I mean, because the energy that we're in right now, people are gonna be forced to be
Hmm.
their authentic selves. We
Hmm.
got a lot of, you know, shadows and things like that right now,
Yeah.
but this energy we're moving into now is forcing people to be their authentic selves. Slowly but
Yes.
surely, people are gonna start catching on. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I can't do this anymore. It's just like, social media. It's
Yeah.
just like I said, it's just it's not a bad thing. I love it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, it has a way of programming people to think that they gotta be somebody else outside of themselves.
Hmm.
So I love social media though.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I do think that the more that there are different platforms. So and echoing that with social media, I think everybody, well, I think most people can agree with this that they love TikTok or that TikTok
Yes.
has a hold on them, right? Like I
Yes.
truly enjoy TikTok, but what I enjoy most about it is the idea that you can come authentic and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I think it
Mm.
has, in some ways, I think it has fine-tuned itself in some ways, but I understand, progress and just how things go. But when you look at some of the other social media platforms where it's like, that perfectionism is kind of it's
Instagram.
put on a pedestal, right? Where you're
Mhm.
just looking at it, but TikTok is like, hey, no, like you got a phone, you got a camera,
Right.
all right, you
Right.
got an idea, and it's
Mhm.
really good to see just the process from where people start and then they build. And so, I just like the
Absolutely.
community that it builds around it.
Absolutely. I've been on TikTok now for like what, about a year now.
Hmm.
About a year, and I love it because
Hmm.
it's so much. We're moving that age now. We're in that information age.
Yeah,
So we I love it because it shares so much knowledgeable
it does.
information.
Hmm.
And I love TikTok. And I was like, I was afraid to get on it for a long time because,
Yeah.
I was scared because what they were saying about the conspiracies and things about it. But I was like, you know
Hmm.
what? I don't move in fear. I move in love.
Hmm.
So okay, I'm gonna
Hmm.
use this to
That's
my
it.
benefit and try
Yep.
to, use it to my benefit to,
Yeah.
help as many people as I can. So I just got a notification for
Yes.
TikTok.
Yes.
It's funny.
No,
We talk
I
about
agree.
TikTok. So yeah. So but yeah.
Um, Two more things because I don't want to hold you too long, but I am enjoying our discussion.
Me
So
too.
one is kind of going back to the first question, which was like, what are some of the things that you learned from your mother, right? That you still carry as far as like your hair care tips or just again things that you carry when it comes to caring for your hair, doing your hair. I want to ask
Mhm.
that, but I want to put that on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is what are some lessons, right? Or what are some things that you did learn about your hair or how to take care of your hair from childhood that you had to
Mhm.
unlearn as an adult?
Mm. Let's think. I would have to agree to what you said.
Mm-hmm.
That scarf,
Mm-hmm.
even though it would
Mm-hmm.
come off, because I used to sleep wild and sleep all
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
and but yeah, just wearing that scarf, keeping that scarf on. Let me see something else that I learned. You know,
I
and
think one
also
thing
like,
that, go
mhm.
ahead.
Oh, another thing was it just alone itself is just um taking care of it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
taking care of your hair. If you get a style
Yeah.
done, that's why like I can see now that that's one thing my mom, she would get her hair done every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I would too. But I see now that I've incorporated that now too. That's why I like to get a lot of styles that last. That's a
Yeah.
form of taking care
Yeah.
of your hair,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just taking care of it, not doing, too much, because like I said, like having, protective styles is a wonderful way to take care
Mhm.
of your hair because you ain't really having to do too much of your hair. When you're going to get it flat ironed every 2 weeks, you're not really taking care of your hair. That all that heat on your hair is damaging.
Yeah.
So, keeping those ends clipped,
Mm-hmm.
keeping those ends
Yes.
clipped,
Yeah.
is another
Big
thing
on that.
too. Yeah, because when we were younger and we were natural then too, before we started getting relaxers and stuff in our hair, you know, when you're younger, I noticed too as stylists and having to do the little kids' hair when they come and get their hair done, a lot of the parents be wondering like why they can't tame their children's hair, because a lot of it has to do, especially when it comes to detangling and stuff like that, is because they have a lot of like dead hair on their ends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
I
very
noticed that.
nice.
Right. So my mom
Mm-hmm.
used to make sure I keep my ends cut. That's why my hair
Mm-hmm.
grew so
Mm-hmm.
long when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid. And I still do that to this day, like keep my
Yeah.
ends cut, try to
Mm-hmm.
keep that cut because I don't like, and also like when I detangle, starting from the body. When we grew up, like you said,
Yes. Start
being
from,
tender-headed,
yes. Start from the
it
root. Oh,
you gotta
right. You have to
start from the
start from
bottom
the
and just go
ends.
up and detangle
Yes.
or whatever.
Oh, that's a
So
big
yeah.
one. That is a
Yeah.
big one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's something I'm big on now that I learned a lot from my mom, is keeping those ends, keeping that hair covered, and just
Yeah.
taking care of my hair. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think echoing that, some things I had to unlearn was well, I think I'm in agreement. Like I think some of the things my mom taught me I'm still following, but and I
Mhm.
don't even know if I want to put this onus on my mom in particular, but maybe just again the mother figures or my environment of women
Mhm.
that I identified as that role that took on that role was unlearning the standards of beauty around here, because everybody had different standards of beauty of what good hair was, of what presentable hair was, and understanding that there's a such thing as unkempt hair. Like that's an obvious one.
Mhm.
But then there's just, how people choose to wear it. And
Mhm.
so going back to what you were saying, where now we're wearing two strand twist and,
Mhm.
um, wearing it straight back, which I think my family, they would joke or just upbring. I think we call them the Sealy braids, but now like, they're
Mhm.
just the cornrows, but
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
unlearning that standard of beauty and understanding that I set the standard of beauty. If
Mhm.
it's beautiful
Mhm.
to me, then it's beautiful. Now, if my hair
Absolutely.
is unkempt, that's another thing. Like maybe I do need to go see a specialist like yourself. Maybe I do need to get some additional help because my hair is
Mhm.
unkempt.
Mhm.
But not letting other people or societal pressures tell me what my hair is. Something I had to
Absolutely.
unlearn. Yeah.
Absolutely. And another thing too,
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to, like, like I said, with my stepmom doing my hair as often as she did, and my mom keeping my hair done as a kid. One thing I'm
Mm-hmm.
having to learn today too, like, I love these protective styles and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I have to know when it's time to take it out because,
Yes.
your hair has to breathe.
Yes.
Our
Yes.
hair is like antennas. It connects us to
Right.
the universe. And so,
Yeah.
and also you keep it in too many styles for too long, like, protective styles and stuff like that, that can get matted up and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
learning to remind myself that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right, Demi, I know you can make it look cute and get those little edges slicked up and everything and stuff
Yes.
like that, but
Oh, I'm
honey,
guilty. I'm guilty of it.
right?
Yes.
Look, it's time to go get another style
Mm-hmm.
now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I'm laughing at that because I'm one of the women that will get her hair done, and right when I get it done, I'm like, okay, what's gonna be my next style? You know what I mean? So
Right.
that way, when it is time to take it out, I was like, I have a style to go to, so that I do feel more prepared. I do feel more ready, or just letting it breathe, because you're right. Your hair does have to breathe. And
Mhm.
there's a book that I have that's called The Science of Black Hair, and it talks about low manipulation. And it says, like,
Mhm.
if you notice, like when children's hair grow a lot faster because it's not being manipulated. It's a low
Mhm.
manipulation hairstyle. And that
Mhm.
applies to adulthood, where it's like, yeah, you got to do low manipulation hairstyle. Sometimes it can't always be cute and twist and all that. It's like sometimes you just got to wear your
Mhm.
fro, or just
Mhm.
do some plaits or some two
Mhm.
strand twists and call it a
Mhm.
day. But you're right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, is your hair that you have now, your braids now, are those
Mhm.
invisible, I mean, what do you call them? Knotless.
Yep, these are
They look
knotless.
good.
Yes,
They look
thank you.
really good.
Thank you.
It took a while for that, didn't it?
Oh, 11 hours. 11 hours. Yes. Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Usually
How
I
long
do
did
it in 2 sittings. Oh, go ahead.
how long do you normally keep your
Um,
protective style?
about 2 months, but it's right at that time. I was actually thinking about it today and I said, okay, girl,
It still looks
you gotta pick
good.
a Sunday. Yeah, but it's, you know how you can feel it where it's like it's time for
Yeah,
it because
that's
because
how
I
mine is.
pulled. And
Starting
so
to
I'm
get
like, you gotta
wavy.
pick a Sunday. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh,
Hmm.
it's been so fun.
I know.
Inconvenient.
I know.
So I'm
I
just trying to
know.
go through my grief right now because I know I gotta let it go. I have on my Instagram account, I have a video where it shows me taking my braids out and just how sad I am because you're just like, because it's
Cut
so sad.
it. Wow, wow. But you know what? Your
Yeah.
hairstyles, I looked at some of your pictures and
Hmm.
your videos and stuff
Hmm.
like that. You can rock anything.
Oh, thank you.
You can
Thank
rock
you.
anything.
Oh,
And it's just the way your facial, it's like I told you, I can see stuff in people. Remember I was telling
hmm.
you in the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
I could just you can pretty much you be rocking them styles, girl.
They
I see
that
you. I see you.
No, that really I'm truly touched by that because I go out of my, well, I don't want to say out of my way, but I work really hard to find hairstyles for my hair texture for people that may not have the long big afros
Mm-hmm.
to still find beauty, and that just really
Mm-hmm.
touched my heart. So thank
Aw,
you. That really means a lot to me. And
yes.
that's why I'm kind of like, well, what is my next hairstyle going to be? Because I want women to feel good about their hair no matter
Yes,
what it is. Like you do not have to have long hair for it to be valued. You do not have to have this
absolutely.
kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's like that's
Mhm,
beautiful hair, but your hair is beautiful too. All hair
mhm,
is good hair. And so just
mhm.
again, I'm truly, truly touched because
Yes, rock
yeah,
them
I
hair,
really gave up
girl.
on
We gonna be
it.
doing some things. You just wait.
Yes,
You just wait. But
yes.
what I was gonna say, so have you ever tried like crochets?
Yeah, I have done, I actually can do my own crochet.
Wow,
Mhm,
yeah, yeah,
mhm,
yeah. They're pretty
mhm.
easy. I mean,
They
I
are,
go
and it's
get
a
mine
go-to.
done.
It's a
Hmm.
go-to. It's just easy. Like you said, it's easy. It's a go-to. It's, once you take, you just
Right,
kind of cut it. But
right.
I like crochets. I love protective styles. Like I love, but my stylist, and I say stylist plural because I have a few, but if they were here, they know I have this platform. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
always like, what are we doing now? And I'm like, well, I got something to try out. And I just love that they love me enough to work with me. I think kind of going back again to that rapport that you had, like it's not just transactional, it's the relationship. And so
Absolutely.
um kind of like how we cross paths, like I really, taking the time to really talk to people and tell them about your hair history, tell them about, like
Yeah.
what you need, tell them that it might take more
Hmm.
time because, stylists see different people, they see different types of hair in their chairs. And so just
Hmm.
like you want patience for them, you guys both are going to need patience with each other. And so I'm
Absolutely.
so grateful for them because they just kind of laugh. I'm like, okay, here's the style. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. And it makes it a more enjoyable experience, and I always
Absolutely.
leave feeling good about my hair.
Oh, that's awesome. You
Yeah.
must have some amazing stylists. Like me, I have different
Yeah.
styles for different things. Like for
Mm-hmm.
this particular style, my crochets, I go to a lady. Like
Mm-hmm.
Allison, my friend that I used to work for that works for the hair extension, I go to her to get
Yes.
my sew-ins done. When I want to get
Yes.
my sew-ins, I go to her.
Mm-hmm.
I go somewhere else to get my blowouts done. So I have
That's
several.
right.
Yep.
I agree with you. You have to build a team, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think some people, that there's this idea, like, they're like, oh, I'm cheating on my stylist. And it's like, no, you're not. Like different people have different strengths, and it brings me back to the
Right.
Bible, right? Like one body, but many
Mhm.
functions,
Mhm.
similar.
Mhm.
So it's like there are
Yeah.
people that have different strengths, and it doesn't mean that they're not valued. It's just like, no, this person just has this strength here, so I'm gonna go to
Absolutely.
them. And so I tell
Absolutely.
my stylist know that too, because I'm like, yeah, my other stylist, or I'm like, I'm going over here to get my hair colored, and they're like, well, what kind she use? And I tell them, so when they wash my hair, it's
Mhm.
great. Communication is a beautiful thing when it's effective and when it's done appropriately. Um,
Absolutely.
um, I'm really enjoyed this. My last
Me too.
question or thought to you
Mhm.
is, kind of going back to that article I read. So, so the woman in this article, she is of mixed race. So I believe she is Black and Jewish, if I recall that correctly. And she said that, at the end of the day, because she was talking about being a mother and obsessing over her child's hair. And she said at the end of the day, like when her child looks back and thinks about her and thinks about his hair, right? Because, when you have children, you're doing the hair. She says, I want him to say that my mama tried, right? Like not necessarily that it had to be perfect, but that my mom tried. And my question to you is, what do you want that to be as a mother? What do you want that to be as a life coach and also as a cosmetologist? Like, what do you want people to think about when they think about you and your skills that you bring?
I just want people to, see and understand and understand that I'm just doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
And I'm showing up as the best that I can, because I believe strongly I've gotten to a point in my life now that I used to be this type of person that I used to try to seek validation outside of myself.
Yeah.
But now I'm at that level now where I'm just gonna show up. I may trigger some people, but I'm gonna be authentically me, but I want to show up as my authentic self. Okay.
That's right.
And I want people to, and once we learn as women or divine feminine energy or mothers to embrace that and stop trying to accept validation from people, then a lot more people are going to want to do that as well. So I'm just going to show up, and I'm just grateful for, just being me, and I can trigger some people now.
Well,
I can trigger some people, but it comes with the territory, me being a life coach, me expressing myself, expressing how I am, because I'm into, like I said, I'm into just showing up in my authentic self, whether it's, if I want to get on, post a picture of me being in my bathing suit sometimes, then I'm going to show up like that, If a person has a problem with that, then that ain't got nothing to do with me. That has something to do with them. And so what I teach people and I share to my clients is show up, shine your light bright. Show up as your authentic self, because when you do that, it encourages people to do the same thing.
Yes.
Love yourself.
Yes.
Have confidence. I used to be, and I tell a lot of people too, I had to build my confidence up along because I've been through so much things in my life. I haven't always been this high confident type of person. I used to be very insecure. I talk about it on my videos all the time. I used to be very insecure about my gap, but I love my gap now. Okay.
Right. No,
It's
that's
who I
right.
am. It's me.
Yes,
I
that's who you
still
are.
may get braces later on, but this is who I am.
But
My
that's your
dad has a
choice.
gap.
Right.
Yeah. My dad has
Right.
a gap. My aunts have a gap, and it's just like I just show up as me. I don't care what people say, I don't care about people gonna judge, because like I said, I understand and understand now that if a person looks at me in a certain way, or they want to judge me or criticize me about how I do things, how I coach, how I do hair, how I look, that don't got anything to do with me. It's something that's inside of me. What you see in me is what's inside of you. So if you look at me in a way, it's like, wow, you're beautiful. It's because that's inside of you too. But if you look at me in a negative way, when it's negative and you're trying to be judgmental or whatever the case may be, it's some unhealed wound there that needs to be fixed. So just show up.
No, you said it right. Take up space, showing up. When you said it made me think about, there's a motivational speaker, and I cannot think of her name right now, but I'm gonna find it. But she said, if my light is too bright, it's not Ayana, but I rocks with Ayana. I like her. But she said, if my light is too bright for you, then put some shades on.
Okay.
Yeah. Get
Yeah, I
some
should do
shade
that
on
all
it.
the time.
Yeah.
I had some situations that happened over the last couple of years, where, some people got intimidated, and I'm
Yeah.
very intuitive. One thing about me is, like I said, I have a lot of spiritual gifts. I can read people energies. I can tell when people switch up. I can tell when people like that.
Mhm.
But God had to remind me that that ain't got nothing to do with me. Show up,
Mhm. Mhm.
because the right people are going to acknowledge, and what they see in you is what's in
Yes.
them. And so
Yes.
I encourage all the mothers out there to just, you know, be authentic, be your authentic self and just show
Mhm.
up. Okay.
Mhm.
Shine your light so bright
Yes.
till it dim
That's
them
right.
eyes and them folks that ain't got
Yes.
no business.
Said it. No, you said it. I agree. And I wanna add to that by saying by doing that, that's where that ripple effect comes. Like that's where
Hmm.
your children see it. The people in your
Absolutely.
circle see it. And like you said, when we do that, when we show up as our authentic selves, it empowers, it gives people the permission to show up as themselves too.
Hmm.
So I think that's
Hmm.
wonderfully said.
And also,
Mhm.
embrace who you are.
Mhm.
I tell my clients all the time, you may not have this Coca-Cola bottle body, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
But you can work on yourself, shadow work, healing is so important. And when you work on yourself and work on the inner you,
Yeah, that's right.
the outer is
Yeah,
going to be easy.
yeah,
So confidence is so important. And how you build your confidence is working on yourself on the inside. And sometimes it's gonna get lonely. You're gonna have to go within and get quiet, go into solitude and work on yourself and get quiet. But I'm telling you, it's the best thing you can ever do. And this is
it
why
is.
one of my missions here on this planet is to encourage people to do that, heal themselves.
Mhm.
Because once we heal ourselves, we're going to make this place a better place. We're going to make this place, the planet, a better place. And we're going to be able to
Mhm.
look at each other and coexist with one another without having to be judgmental and do all this other stuff, and love on ourselves and love others, just as
No,
well. So we can't love others or be anything to nobody else until we do it for ourselves. So that's why I'm big
mhm.
into self-love.
Mhm. No, I agree. I echo those same sentiments. It is important to start with yourself. And again, because it
Mhm.
empowers others. And
Absolutely.
it is a process that is worth it. It is worth it every
Mhm.
time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Before we close, I always like
Mhm.
for you to tell people, where can they find you? How can people
Okay.
find you?
You can find me on, I have several platforms.
Yeah.
YouTube, you can find me on YouTube at Coach Deme,
Mhm.
Deme. You can find me on Instagram at Infinite Love Vibrations.
Yes.
um, and you can also find me on Facebook at Infinite Love Vibrations, and TikTok is Coach Demi B. So,
Wonderful, wonderful. So y'all heard her. So if you are looking to transform your life, if you are looking to transform things around you, you want someone who is intuitive, who is passionate, please reach out to Coach Demi B on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Yes.
absolutely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank
being on our
you.
show. Yes.
Thank you. We'll have to do this again and have another topic. So
Yes,
I'm super
yes.
excited about it. And I will make sure that, um, I enjoyed this. This is something that
Mhm.
I love to talk about.
Mhm,
I like to
mhm.
stay in my lane, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, this was
Stay in my
great.
lane. And this is beauty and fashion and things like that has
Mhm,
been a part of my life.
mhm.
And now that I've expanded it with life coaching, it's just absolutely amazing. And thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate you for this.
No, thank you for joining. Like, I'm so happy we crossed paths. Like, it's a
Yes,
kindred spirit, and it's really important to me. I value that.
absolutely.
So I just want you to know it goes back to you as well. So I'm just as happy. I'm just as touched that you agreed to join me. It's great.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I stopped recording, but tell me what you think. I think that went